rupees, 15% is the cost of delay per annum of it not being delivered to him.
Absolutely right, and that there are two components that constitute that. One is loss of rent, and one is the heavy interest that he's paying to the housing finance banks, which now today are between 11 to 13%. So there is a rough 50% division between the two, and every year that the developer delays, the consumer loses 15-odd%, whereas there are penalty clauses that are imposed on the developer. He pays 5 rupees a square feet a month, but that translates typically only to 1 to 2% of the value of the property. So net, there is a loss of 14% to the consumer, but there is one icing on the cake, that is that there is appreciation that has happened in the Indian markets, especially in the tier 1, where the consumer has really got saved, and he's not come for cancellations.
That's what makes him resigned to his fate. He says, okay, my property is appreciating. Yes, please go ahead, but I have a lot of questions for you as well.
So go ahead, you shoot.
I want to know, when it comes to an execution delay, yes, it's happened for many reasons. There's a document which has been signed which says that we will, compensate the consumer for that delay. That compensation never comes till you go to courts.
No, that's not the case, Manisha, because you're talking of cases which used to happen maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. Things have changed drastically. We have evolved as an industry. There are delays from the developer, and you see, there are many times that the customer also delays his payments. So you have to look at both sides of the spectrum.
But there the penalty is very heavy.
No, it's equal. It's the same.
I've not heard of a single customer not being extracted of that penalty amount before being given the delivery. The problem is that this entire game is stacked in the favor of the developer. I have taken a loan. I have bought that flat. I am at your mercy.
No, see, there is no compulsion to sign an agreement which you feel is one-sided. If you are a buyer, you have to, before you put up that money on the table, you can read that document. And if you're not comfortable with it, don't buy with that developer. Is there a compulsion?
There isn't, but the problem is, and I'm going to read out this email which has come to us. And a penthouse which was bought in July 2005, this is Rahul Jain, was supposed to get possession in 2008 and 9. And we're talking about a boom period, the India shining period, when there was no subprime crisis, there was really absolutely no money or liquidity crunch at that point of time. This was delayed by almost 3 years. I was supposed to get it within 3 years, that is by 2008, maybe 9. Chalo, 1 saal extra le lo. Have all the documents. There was a penalty clause. The builders have stopped taking our calls. We've met the directors. They're not responsive. The flat is actually 70 to 80% constructed, is locked up, and they're not getting the possession. So I buy your point that there's a lot more now in terms of legal documents or what you can do as a consumer. But I'll bring in Mr. Sampath here from Mumbai. Mr. Sampath, what does a consumer do when a builder or developer neither delivers nor gives him the penalty interest that he's supposed to for a delay?
Point number 1, the laws of the land are drafted in such a way that they are 99% in favor of the developers. Practically every political party has got the top bracket who are directly and or indirectly related to real estate. They have got their business interest. Today the sad part is a plumber requires a license to do his business. An electrician requires a license to do his business. But when it comes to builder, the only qualification that is required is a sweet tongue and a smiling face. Builder not naturally blends with the laws of the land and the practical bureaucratic approach. And we know that nothing works without speed money. Municipal corporations are known as nothing but masters of corruption. In Bombay or in Maharashtra, I would say, as a lawyer with about 30 years of practice, I have not seen 1% of the agreement drafted as per the laws of the land. You look at open car parking. They cannot be sold, even a child knows. You cannot sell garages. Still parking you cannot sell. Of course, garages can be sold, no issues. You cannot sell terrace. But practically every builder is selling all these things. Right. And the penalty is such that they don't mind paying it. Point number 1, they are taking cash. Invariably, that is known to all, one and all. And if one goes to them, he says, okay, you take your white money and close the chapter. Take 9% interest as per the law of the land.
We're going to come back to you. We understand. So you brought a very interesting point that yes, the odds are stacked in the favor of a developer. You're saying 99%. We could debate on that figure, but we have to come back and still find what's the solution and how will the builder community, developer community get more responsive and honor the contracts that they sign with the consumer in a better way. You keep watching the big realty debate here on NDTV Profit. We're discussing an extremely important topic today in the big realty debate, and that's execution delays across the country when it comes to delivery of your homes. Most agreements that you sign with builders stipulate a hefty rate of interest for delayed payments from your side, but search for a similar penalty clause for delays on the part of the builder in handing over possession, and you'll find that there are not too many. Fortunately, despite such one-sided clauses in the agreement, consumers can get compensation from builders for construction delays under the Consumer Protection Act. Mr. Vineet Relia, a well-known real estate advocate, is with us here in the Mumbai studio. Mr. Sampath, let us get to the crux of the problem. If the builder does not pay me penalty money or interest that's been promised to me and also delays, how do I get that resolved? Is court my only option?
The solution lies in very simple ways if there is a will. Make most of these offences on the builder non-bailable and you see the fun. Second thing, a part of the project, say 10% of the cost flats can only be sold after the building completion certificate is received and the compliances have been done by the builder. If these two elementary things are taken into consideration, quite a few of the things will go. Now coming to the consumer forums, it was expected within 90 days the delivery will be given, the verdict will come. But let's see the courts are overburdened. Flat purchasers are literally 99% at the mercy because point cash has been paid. The price of the project which was purchased with a budget of 25 lakhs and when I go there at that point of time it costs 50 lakhs. So even I know I am being deprived, but I will console myself that instead of a 50 lakhs flat, I am by paying 5 lakhs more to the builder or by incurring an expense of 5 lakhs, at least I am getting the product cheap for 30 lakhs compared to the 50 lakhs things. The need of the day is simplicity of law and holding the bureaucrat responsible, because if I do something wrong, I am penalized. Businessman, builder is a businessman, he is here for business and not for charity. He has valid points. He has to bend to the bureaucrats because they are not accountable. In certain parts of India, buildings take more than 2 years to get the permission, and look at China. They have constructed recently a building in 15 days with so many permissions, and multi-storied building I'm not talking of 5, 10, 20-storied building. If China can construct a building in 15 days, why can't we compete with them in these things? Today even a paper from one office to another office does not move in 15 days. Why are we not holding our bureaucrats responsible for the delay? If I am constructing a building today, I know that I will take 1 year, 2 years. By that time, why is the infrastructure not being improved? Now look at Bombay. We are talking of space constraints. The rates in Bombay are one of the highest rates in the world. I have got a big ocean next to me. Why can't I reclaim land and utilize that for a productive purpose? That will help me.
Very well made points, and I think you've been able to put both sides together. You're saying, yes, the agreements are stacked in the favor of a developer, and a consumer will not want to go and fight for a property or for any penalty to be paid to him, especially if he's seen capital appreciation. But the biggest culprit in this entire thing, and that's what I'm hearing from everybody, from Mr. Sampath, from all of you, is really the regulatory approval processes. So that's really the government and the bureaucracy where it's all boiling down to. Yes, labor, yes, liquidity, but the regulatory approvals are big. Kalpesh, I'd like your view on it. What is it that you'd like to change? What will make it possible? You actually put together everything for us and said it's not one thing, it's 6 or 7. But what's the most crucial thing which needs to change to make sure execution delays do not happen in this country, or at least are reduced by a large margin?
You know, there is no one thing. There's basically two things, as I've said. The first is regulations, and you know, every member on the panel has discussed that adequately. The second biggest thing that we can change as an industry, and that is in our control, is how we do business, and is our mindsets. Getambar ji pointed out very well, and Vineet also, most developers in India have been promoter-run, family-run businesses. To be a good developer so far in India, the skill sets that you had to master were: how do you acquire land cheap? How do you get approvals? How do you clear up the land? Building a product, delivering a product, thinking about building beautiful buildings was all secondary. But what is dawning on all of us now